We have all heard about the mighty Romans and how they managed to conquer a big chunk of the world. But sometimes things don't always go to plan, as you will soon learn about in this video. Sometimes even superpowers get toppled, and that too by the most unexpected enemy. Hello and welcome to this video on the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, where we will explore how Rome, the superpower of its time, suffered its worst defeat. You must be wondering, how did they do it? What was the reason behind suffering defeat? Well, stick around till the end as we answer these questions and more as we delve into the intricacies surrounding this infamous battle. Without further ado, let us begin. So first, let me give you a brief introduction to the battle. The Battle of the Teutoburg Forest was named due to the forest in question, which was the place at which the battle occurred. In Roman folklore, the battle is also known as the Varian Disaster, referring to the Roman general who was leading the Roman forces that lost. Now that you know the basics involved with the battle, let me give you guys a little background to the event so that you all are better placed to understand how things panned out later. It all started around the year 9 CE. Rome, being the superpower it was, had started expanding its domains. They knew they had the power and the capability to expand, and were freely doing so after a series of different skirmishes against surrounding settlements. Now, one of these settlements was the local Germanic tribes. Now, it was quite obvious that, given their position, Romans wanted to take over their land and expand their empire even further. So, naturally, they planned to put together an army and defeat these Germanic settlements. Well, Publius Quintilius Varus, who was the Roman general I was talking about at the start of the video, was sent to the area to put down any unrest and keep everything under Roman rule. However, before we discuss Varus's role in the battle, first, let me tell you a little bit about him. Varus was born in the early 1st century BCE into an old and distinguished Roman family. He served as a military commander under Julius Caesar during the Gallic Wars and was later appointed governor of Syria by Augustus in 7 BCE. Varus was then assigned to the newly created province of Germania. That is how he ended up being the leader of the Roman army. That is not all, as after his time as governor of Syria, Varus had a reputation for being a tough, unyielding man. Varus's first year in Germania was relatively peaceful, as he spent much of his time establishing Roman forts and consolidating Roman control over the region. As you can imagine, he was the right fit for the job based on past experience. Now that you know all about the details required to have a better grasp of the events leading up to the battle, now let us talk about the actual battle itself. Well, it became pretty obvious that the battle against the Germania tribes had to be done, due to the rebellion that had broken in Germania. Varus, as a result, had to intervene, and he did not take it lightly, as he made sure that he would emerge victorious. That is why he took 20,000 soldiers, including auxiliaries, supplies, and civilians, just to make sure he crushes the rebellion in Germania and expands the Roman Empire even further. And it was widely accepted that the Romans would emerge victorious. They had far more advanced weapons and armor, which helped them a lot in overpowering the enemy. Speaking of the enemy, let us discuss a little about their leader. Arminius, a former Roman auxiliary, also known as Hermann or Armin, was a chieftain of the Germanic Cherusci tribe who played a significant role in the Battle of the Teutoburg Forest in 9 CE. He was born in the year 18 or 17 BCE in Germania Magna. Interesting fact for you all, Arminius is regarded as a national hero in modern-day Germany and is celebrated for his role in the Germanic resistance against the Roman Empire. I am sure by now you all must have realized that Arminius was the reason the Romans suffered their humiliating defeat. But the question remains, how did he do so? First of all, according to many reports, Varus had an agreement with Arminius, which the latter broke when Varus entered his lands. This took Varus by surprise, and this element of surprise helped Arminius in the war. But if we were to say what was the main reason behind Varus's and the Romans' loss, it would be the tactics adopted by Arminius and the Germanic forces. Don't believe me? Well, hear it for yourself. Now, the fact is pretty much clear that Arminius played some tricks of his own, just so the Germanic tribes could counter the sheer number of people and money the Roman army had. This was the only thing they could do, in all honesty, so they planned an ambush on the Roman army. The Germanic tribes took advantage of the fact that the Roman troops were unfamiliar with the forest's environment by employing guerrilla tactics and ambushes to single out and destroy individual Roman units. Imagine you enter a forest and you have no idea about your surroundings. While you are fighting an army that was born and bred here, of course, they would know a lot about the forest, and they use this to their advantage. As you can imagine, both in numbers and in preparation, the Roman army was overwhelmed. The Roman soldiers' heavy armor and equipment made moving over the muddy terrain even more of a challenge. The heavy armor, which was once considered a big reason why no one was able to stand the Romans, was suddenly a part of the reason for their downfall. Unfortunately for Varus, it was already too late for his forces to reorganize and create a defensive line. The Roman army had been besieged, and all attempts to break through enemy lines had failed. The Romans lost many men over the course of several days of fighting. Many soldiers committed suicide rather than surrender to the enemy when morale was low. Speaking of morale, the Romans would have likely felt a range of emotions during the battle, including fear, confusion, and desperation. The Roman soldiers would have been aware that they were facing a formidable enemy, and the surprise attack would have only heightened their sense of vulnerability. I think this fear and hopelessness also resulted in their defeat. As the battle wore on and it became clear that the Roman forces were outnumbered and outmatched, their morale would have likely begun to deteriorate. The soldiers would have seen their comrades falling around them and would have been unable to effectively respond to the Germanic tactics. In the end, the Romans would have felt a sense of shock and defeat as they retreated from the battlefield, having suffered a major loss to their military power and prestige. This was a big factor. It was not just a win just because of strategic planning and a good move, but it was a win just because of the effect it caused. The world thought the Romans were invincible. Well, this war just proved that anyone could defeat them. So, what happened afterward? What was the aftermath? Well, the Germanic tribes either killed or captured every last Roman soldier. Varus's defeat was a severe blow to Roman dignity and status, and he took his own life as a result. As a result of his setback, Emperor Augustus rethought Rome's strategy in Germania and decided to pull his armies out of the area and stop trying to expand Rome's territory there. This was amazing news to Germania, who lived in peace from that point forth. And lastly, the most important question is, what conclusion can we draw from this battle? The Roman conquest of Germania came to an end at the Battle of Teutoburg Forest, ushering in a new period in world history. I think I have already talked about this in detail, but this setback served as a sobering reminder of the limits of Roman might and the significance of familiarizing oneself with the geography and strategies of the area one was attempting to conquer. There is a reason the Cherusci leader Arminius became a national hero in his homeland and is still revered in modern-day Germany as a symbol of defiance in the face of imperial rule. You don't become that by just winning a war. You become that by winning a war when the odds were heavily stacked against you. In the end, I would just like to say that this battle goes on to show that anything is possible, provided you find a way for things to work. Even if you think it's impossible, you can still do something which would leave you winning. So never give up hope, folks, and keep working hard till the very last moment. Thanks for taking the time to watch our video. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new video from us. Until next time, we'll see you at the next one.